All right. So I guess now you understand what the plan was.
Absolutely. At Colts Law, we talk Indianapolis Colts football.
We're going to stick to what we know, fundamentals and technique, 1% better every day.
Welcome to Colts Law. I'm Lawrence Owen, and as usual, I am with... Wait. You're not my co-host. Hey.
No, I'm not.
Oh, man. Welcome, Cody Felger from Bring the Juice Podcast. Cody, please tell these guys a little something about yourself and where they can find you.
Like, do you want an interesting fact about me? Something crazy about me? What are you thinking? Interesting something?
Sure.
All right. Well, I've never broken a bone in my body, so that's kind of interesting.
Hey, that's something we have in common.
Oh, really? That's sweet.
I've had dislocations, but no breaks.
Yeah. I don't know how, because I feel like I was kind of crazy growing up. I rode dirt bikes. I did all the crazy, guy things. So I don't know how I didn't do it, but yeah, something crazy. But yeah. Anyway, yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Cody Felger, at CP Felger 55 on Twitter. And Bring the Juice, obviously. You can find us everywhere you listen to podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. As I know, people can find yours as well. Same spot there. So, yeah, man, I'm honored to be on here and excited to talk about our topic today.
All right. Speaking of the topic, so Chris Ballard was on the Pat McAfee show. One of these days, I'll learn how to speak English. He was on there, I don't know, yesterday, day before yesterday. And
it was a couple days ago, I think, yeah.
Yeah, and they were talking about, Pat was like, you know what, is it just me or is it everybody? I think the Colts should have more playmakers on there, blah, blah, blah. Chris Ballard jumps on there immediately and starts discussing. Basically, he don't think that the Colts need another offensive playmaker, that there are a bunch on there that just aren't known yet. What are your thoughts about, do the Indianapolis Colts need another offensive playmaker?
I don't think so right now. I'm very intrigued, and I think Ballard said it right away. It wasn't on McAfee's show. I think he was in front of the media or something when he was talking about it. He's like, we have good players. Like, we maybe don't have that number one, oh my goodness type of guy right now, at least, but they're putting a lot of faith in guys like Michael Pittman and Parris Campbell to really come through. And I feel like a lot of people just write them off, especially Parris Campbell because of the injuries, but these guys were taken in round 2. So there's a lot of talent to be tapped into there. Mm-hmm. And bringing back T.Y. Hilton, I think it was obviously a really good move. And bringing back the veteran of that group, who a lot of people like to rag on him for the last 2 years, which I get because the production's been down a little bit, but he's also had 2 different quarterbacks the last 2 years. This will be the third quarterback in 3 years for him. And so you get him back now with a quarterback that, obviously you talk about with Andrew Luck and stuff, like Carson Wentz has a lot of tendencies, and I know I might get flack on that, but like T.Y. Hilton has said that. He's been on record saying that he has those tendencies like Luck does. And we saw, man, in 2018 even, when T.Y. Hilton had kind of a down year for him the previous year with Jacoby Brissett, he eclipsed 1,000 yards. He was a playmaker again. And so I think Ballard is right on the money when it comes to his wide receivers. There's a lot of guys that nobody talks about, nobody really knows about, but they got talent, especially in the top 4, including Zach Pascal. So I think I agree with kind of what Ballard's assessment is right now. I think your wide receivers, yes, they're maybe not spectacular. They're maybe not the tops in the league right now, but there is a lot of talent at wide receiver.
Well, it's kind of funny you bring up, the talent of the wide receiver and stuff. Ballard said, and he made this point, the Colts were, now this is what he said, were number 2 in the NFL in explosive plays last year. Mm-hmm. That's with Phillip Rivers at quarterback. And that got me thinking, you know what? I'm going to jump on Sharp Football Stats, which is a site that anyone can go to. It's free. And they discuss a lot of different stuff, a lot of advanced analytics. And would you say that when you talk about an explosive play, would that be a 20-yard pass or more, or a 10-yard run or more? Would you say that's about where you would consider an explosive play?
Yeah, that's about what I would think.
All right. So that's what Sharp Football Stats goes into, and that's how they do their analytics in it. And I go in here and I'm looking, and they were second, but they were tied for second with 3 other teams at 12% of their offensive plays last year was explosive. The only team that was more than that was Minnesota. They were tied with Baltimore, Kansas City, and Cleveland. And that's overall. When we're looking at the running explosive plays, the Colts were tied for, well, actually, they were 8th total in the NFL, or 7th total in the NFL. But then again, the top 6 were all tied at 15. 14% of the Indianapolis Colts offensive rushing plays went for 10 or more yards. That's impressive. But the thing that we're really talking about is the passing game, right? What about the passing game? Where were they sitting at? And did you know that the number 1 team in the NFL in explosive passing plays was not Kansas City? It was Houston.
Really? Huh. Wow. I guess that's not a
Number
shock
1.
because they couldn't run the football to save their lives. So
That is true. And then number 2 was Green Bay Packers, which makes a lot of sense. But the third, there was 5 teams in the NFL tied for third at 10% of all of their passing plays went 20 or more yards, and the Indianapolis Colts was among those teams. Teams like Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, the Raiders, Buffalo. All those teams had 10% or more of their passing plays go 20 or more yards. And that says something because Rivers didn't have an arm to get the ball down the field. They just had the right plays and the right players that got them in the right position in order to get those big yardage. And hey guys, please smash that like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, and tag that notification bell so that you're notified next time I go live. Don't forget, you can also share this video to your favorite social media, and please open up that description of the video. In there you find a link to my Patreon, which is only $5 a month. Get all of my content plus Patreon specific content, and of course my merch shop right here. This video is sponsored by Newsbreak. Newsbreak is an app used over 1.5 billion times a month by people just like you to get local news via articles or videos by those who are focused on that specific area. People like myself. Just use the link in the description of this video to download it. Then search a city, state, or someone specific, like myself, Colts Law. Then make sure to follow them so you'll get all the news fresh as it comes out. Do you think that the addition of Carson Wentz might even bring out more out of these explosive young wide receivers, including T.Y. Hilton? We're going to slap him in with the young guys, even though he's not young. He's still an explosive player, I believe. But do you think the addition of Carson Wentz will make them even more explosive in the passing game?
I certainly think from a vertical passing standpoint, I think they definitely can be. And I think he definitely offers more, obviously, than Phillip Rivers. He has a much bigger arm at this point than Phillip Rivers did last year. No offense to Phil. He was great, for the Colts. But I think one thing that, kind of looking at, Zach Hicks has talked about it a little bit. I think what we need to see from Carson Wentz, in my opinion, is just doing those routine plays well. Not always trying to take the home run shots all the time. And if he can do those well, I certainly think so. I think that the ceiling is certainly higher. Now, the question is, can Carson Wentz do those things well that Phillip Rivers did really well? And if he can just add another element in that vertical passing game with his arm, I certainly think, the Colts can be as good, if not better, than they were last year.
Oh, yeah. So those stats that I gave you, were any of those stats surprising to you?
Yeah, I was shocked, especially in the passing game, because that's kind of been like the storyline, like, Carson Wentz offers so much more in the passing game than Phil does from explosive plays down the field and all that kind of stuff. And so when I saw that and when you read that, I was kind of a little bit shocked, honestly, because I think we all kind of had that in our mind that like the Colts weren't that explosive, but to see they were actually like one of the top ones in the league. Yeah, I was a little bit surprised.
Yeah, I was surprised too because I mean I went in there and I was looking, I was like, holy crap! That's the whole reason why I'm making this video is because I was utterly shocked, and they did all that without Marlon Mack or Parris Campbell basically the entire season, and they're going to have a healthy Mack and Campbell this year, and this will be Michael Pittman's second year. This will be Zach Pascal's fourth or
I think
fifth?
It's fourth, right?
Fourth?
Yeah, I think so.
Another year for Ashton Dula, another year for DeMichael Harris, another year for who's that other little quick wide receiver we have?
Well, my mind instantly went to Patman, but obviously that's not right.
No, but it's something similar, another name.
Mm-hmm.
We got a ton of different young, very fast wide receivers on this team. I mean, outside of Pittman and Pascal, all of them are very fast wide receivers on this team. So, I think that this is a situation that absolutely that the Colts don't really need a new offensive playmaker. What they need is their playmakers to stay healthy and on the field.
Yes.
If they're able to do that, I think you're going to see some very surprised people, not just in the Colts nation and fans that are constantly saying, oh, we needed Julio Jones or someone like that, but also some of the your national media guys who said, why didn't the Colts go after Julio Jones or go after this guy or go after that guy in the offseason? They didn't do anything with their cap space. When in the fact, the whole time, Chris Ballard honestly believes that he had the weapons there last year. And if they could stay healthy, will be even more potent. So, yeah, I'm really excited about this year. Can't wait to join you, hopefully, training camp, kind of see what some of these guys do with Carson Wentz. Oh, my goodness. So you're going to training camp as well. We was talking about that before the stream started. What are you hoping to see in training camp?
Yeah, I really want to see, obviously I want to see all those receivers healthy and playing. I'm interested in Kylan Granson, who I think is going to be another element to this Colts offense potentially that could really help this vertical passing attack because, I mean, we've talked to him both. He feels like he can just offer, and I agree, I think he can offer something unique and different to this tight end room. So I'm intrigued to see kind of what his role is in training camp and throughout the season. If we're moving more generally to the roster, really looking forward to obviously the defensive end battle. I think that's going to be a really, really big one. And obviously some people, I'm kind of like, I feel like Kwity Paye is going to take one of them, but it's kind of up in the air. Both defensive end spots right now, I feel like are anybody's for the taking. And there's a lot of talent at defensive end. Honestly, if you ask me what's a topic you want to discuss, if I had the option, it would be defensive end because I'm just so interested in that group. It was kind of like a few years ago when the Colts had corner and they just had so many options at corner. And I was just like, oh my word, where do I even begin at corner? And so that's kind of how I feel about defensive end. I mean, you talk about, wide receiver you've addressed in the first couple rounds. Defensive end, you have invested a ton. And just defensive line, you've invested a ton into these guys. So I'm intrigued to see who takes it and who's your two starters in week one. And preseason is going to be a lot of fun, obviously, to see that as well. Also, the number 2 outside corner, I'm really intrigued to see too, because I feel like there's a couple guys that could potentially take it. It's not a sure thing for Rock at all. I feel like Marvell Toe could easily take that. Isaiah Rodgers, TJ Carey. There's like 4 guys, I think, in my mind who I think have a legit chance to take it. But those are some of the things I'm looking forward to in training camp. And obviously Carson Wentz and seeing how he performs and all that stuff. That's a no-brainer. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I'm hoping to get down there a ton. And kind of the crazy season in my life, fortunately, will be over. I'm going to be out this whole next week with just some stuff with work. And so it's going to be nice. It's kind of going to be a little bit of a relief to just be able to go watch the Colts a little bit. And so I'm really excited for that.
Well, I'm really excited for going as well for a lot of things that you said and a few others for myself. Hopefully we'll get together. We talked about it earlier. Maybe on a specific day we can get together and maybe film a little bit of content if the Colts let us. But Hey, thanks again so much for joining Colts Law. I really appreciate having you on here. Every time you come on, you're always someone who knows exactly what he wants to when it comes to talking about the Indianapolis Colts. So thanks so much. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. This is Colts Law. And as usual, have a good one.
Just because a player's not a household name doesn't mean we can't make him a household name.